Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Thought. Today I'm talking about Microsoft Azure. Okay, let me play. Today I'm going to talk about how to create Azure account and what is the resource and what is the resource group and how to create the resource. So those things we are going to cover. Okay, so the first one it's creating Azure account. Creating normal email account. Okay, so as a prerequisite, we need Microsoft account. Before creating my Microsoft Azure account, we need Microsoft account. Microsoft account is simply we can it to access any of the Microsoft services like Microsoft 365, Microsoft Office. So any of the service if you want to use, then you need Microsoft account. So you can create the Microsoft account as a prerequisite. Then we can go to that Microsoft Azure portal. From there we can create the Microsoft Azure account, and there we will get the two option like creating the free account, or we can create the paid one. So for example, let me show it how we can create. Once we create the Microsoft account, we can go into that page like Azure Azure.microsoft and Microsoft.com. If you enter that, then here it will ask whether here from here we can create that Microsoft Azure account. There are two type of account we can create. One is free account, free tier, and the another one will be that paid one. Okay, then the free tier they will give the service support service for 1 year, and 200 US dollar credit they will give it. Okay, so we can use that within 30 days of time period. Okay. And also we to create this Azure account we need credit card details. So the payment option, it's a mandatory, so we have to provide our credit card details. So they will deduct the 2 rupees, and then after 2 days they will return back to just to validate the payment mode. Okay, so that is where we can create that account, Microsoft account, then we can create a Microsoft Azure account. Okay. The second one will be once we create the Microsoft account, then we can log into there. So I have created that Microsoft free account. So let me open my home page. So just I created. So here once you logged into the Microsoft Azure, you will see this is the home page. Here you can create or resource group or resource. Let me so here the Microsoft services are structured in a way like resource group. If you want to consume any of the Microsoft um, services, Microsoft services, then you have to create the resource group. Resource group is nothing but a logical grouping. So for example, if you want to uh, host host one application or one web application in the Azure portal, then you have to create one logical group. That logical group will represent all your resources which is related to your specific project. Okay, there are multiple reasons why we are creating the resource group. So for example, if you are handling multiple or if you are hosting multiple project in the portal, then you can create multiple resource group. Each resource group will represent the specific project. In that case, you can create or provide access privilege on the resource group level. For example, if you want to give one user as a admin for one particular complete application, then you can give the permission on the resource group level. Okay. So that is where we have to create the resource group. It's mandatory, and then once you create that resource group, then you can add a number of resources under that resource group. Okay, that is where they structured the Microsoft Azure services. Okay. Mm. So we'll begin from here. Okay. So how to just creating the resource and resource group will be a simple step. All everything will be the self explanatory. So just we can click and create. Just you can click and create. Once you create the Microsoft Azure account, you will get the subscription details, and so whatever it is, if you are creating free account or it's a paid account, whatever it is, you will get the subscription details. So in my case, so I already have that subscriptions. It's a free subscription I have, so it will be I'm using that. So then here you can give that resource group name. Test resource group I can give. Okay, we can use hyphen, but we cannot use a space. Okay, and the region we have to select. So I'm since any see the geographical region, they have divided into multiple regions like Asia specific region, and then in that Asia specific region itself, they have divided into multiple one, the Central India, then East Asia, and Australia. So there are multiple subdivisions they have created. Full geographical areas they have divided into regions. So okay. So whatever region you want to create the resource group, or you have, it depends on your customer where which country your customer going to use your services or your application. Then based on that you can host it, so that you will get faster access. Okay, so in my case I'm using central India. I'm selecting, and then I can click the next. Mm, this is a tag again. It's a tag again. It's kind of grouping this resource, kind of we will name it as for this resource, who is the owner, or what kind of environment. So those things we can give. Environment will be test environment. So so that it easily we can able to identify. Tag is nothing but it's a kind of label. Okay. So environment, it's a test environment. So by seeing this tag, we'll come to know this is a test environment. Okay. And who is the owner? You can define whatever name you want to define, and you can define multiple owner. You can whatever both the side you it's up to your it's a kind of plain text you can give it. Okay. And once you give this, then you can click next. Then it will be created. It's if you know that uh, region where you are going to deploy your application, then simply you can create the resource group. Okay. So once you create it, so these for creating resource group, they will not charge anything. So you can create a number of resource group. Okay. Once you created the resource group, then you can create the resource. Okay. When you're creating the resource, then they will ask which resource, under which resource group you want to add the resources. Okay. So in Azure service, what is the resources? Resources, every services, whatever they're providing, and the Azure Microsoft is providing as a cloud service, all those things we'll call it as a resources. So here we have a number of resources. It's top resources, which we apart from that we have more, but this is what the most frequently used services. Here we are going to call it as it's a resource. We'll create as a resource. Okay. So in my first things, we whatever application if you want to host, the main things will be we have to create the VM. virtual machine it's required. So that is where main aim we are going for the cloud service, right? Then later on we can create the key vault account to store your keys and the secrets and all. So then you can use store you can create the storage account. Then if you it's it depends on your application need. Okay, so but the basically normal web application, if you want to host it, then it's a VM is mandatory, but there where you can host your applications. Okay, your application. So that is the reason I'm going to add the VM. I'm going to create the VM resource. Okay, so you can just click on create. So here we have multiple tabs like basic information, disks, details, and networking details, and management, monitoring, advanced tag, and review. The last will be the review and create. Okay, so the basic information, disk details, and the networking details. So these three are it's important. Then management and monitoring will be the up to I mean, like it depends on the use case again. Okay, so it's not mandatory. Basically, for basic requirement, if you want to host the test application, then these things and all it's not mandatory. So, for example, we'll see each options. Okay. So here, since I have that subscription is already it's selected. Then now here new all the resource group will list out here. So I have the test resource group just I have created. So I'm going to you create resource under this. Okay. Then here is the instance details. Okay. Which virtual machine name I can name it like test VM. And again the region I can select this and availability options. So let me explain what is the zone options. Zone option is nothing but it's a physical data center. For example, in India, they should have minimum three zones, availability zones. They will call it as availability zones. It's nothing but three different data center. They will keep it in each minimum three availability zones. They will keep it in the region, in a region. Okay. So the reason will be that any issues happening in one of the data center, then data will be recovered from other data center, and or any the application will be served from other zones. So that is the reason the zone concept they are using it. It's nothing but a physical data center. Okay. So here we can select that zone option as well. So here we have multiple zone options like no infrastructure redundancy. It's not required any additional or any duplicated VMs in any of the zones. Then that means you can select these, or if you want duplicate data recovery in case of any disaster is happened, then you want to recover your data, or you want to retain your service. Then in that case you can go with that availability zone options. Okay. So here you can select, and here you can select like you can select zones, multiple zones, how many zones you want, zone one, zone so if you want to duplicate your VM, so if you zone one, zone two, each zone your VM will be created. So whatever VM you are creating, it will, if you select the zone two, zone three, then it will create three VM on each zones. It will create one VM. So that is, so in my case, I'm creating one in the zone one only. I'm creating one VM. Mm, since it's a test environment, it's not required to duplicate, and the data redundancy option and all, it's may not required. So when we are going for production, then it's required. So that time we can use this option. Okay. Then the security type. The security type, the VM, how we can protect. So there are three levels of security. It's there. The standard one, basic is standard one. So they will and then trusted VM machine and the confidential. So the confidential virtual machine, it's a high level security. So, so we can, if you want, we can configure it. So in my case, I think I can go with basic or the second one. Okay, so we can select that, and if you or if you want, you can go with that confidential also. Confidential for free version, it may not be supported, I think. So that is the reason I'm going with this. Okay, then we can, the second one, the next option will be, we can select the OS. So here, mm the server OS, you can select. So whatever OS, if you are compatible, or so depends on your requirement. Again, if you are going to run run only the backend server, then it will then you can select any of that, like Linux OS, like Ubuntu server or something. Or if you can, if you are familiar with Windows server, then you can go with the Windows. So in my case, just I'm going with the Windows, and then here, the processing, Windows VM processing type, we can select it. Okay. Um, then here, the sizing, again we have to select. So again, depends on your uh, requirement. Here we'll see multiple options. So how much memory, RAM is required for your use case, and how much data disk is required, and so input output per second, how much input output request you want to serve. So everything will vary based on the, again, the cost also will vary. Okay, so it's a vCPU means nothing but a virtual CPU. That means if you are going with this plan, then two vCPUs is that. That means it's one CPU will serve one thread. It means two virtual thread can serve one at a time. So that is vCPU. And the RAM, here it's a NGB, 8 GB RAM. It's supported on this plan. And data disk. Here they will data disk concept will be there. Data disk in the sense, it's nothing but it's a storage. There are different type of storage will be there, like plop storage. What kind of data you are going to store in the data disk, you can map with your VM. So you will get OS, OS along with that primary data storage. And then if you want extra storage, you want to map with your VM, then you can select four data storage. You can map, or you can attach with this VM. And then max I, IOPS means input output operation per second. So you will yeah, the 1920 IO operation we can do it, will be served maximum. mm, per second. Okay. So then the local storage. Local storage, again, it's again one more. It's another kind of data disk. It will be used for VM. So let's say if you are hosting some application or something, then the temporary data will be stored in this local storage. So the 16 GB local storage will be provided for this as part of this plan. And then uh, so the price will be this one, 71 uh, 0.25 USD per month. Okay. So in our case, we can go with that minimum one, like this one. Uh, this one we can go, or yeah, I'm selecting this one. And then um, we can give that administrator username, test user. Okay, on lowercase, on uppercase. So here, in this tab itself, we can define the basic details itself. We can define that inbound outbound rules means the network rules. So what are the inbound port, inbound request we are allowing, what are the port we are allowing to receive the request. So 8080 HTTP port we can, or it's up to our use case. We can, if you are hosting only web application, then this HTTP 80 itself it's enough. Or if you are supporting some HTTPS, you want to serve the provide the service on to uh, for three port, then you can select that. It's up to the requirement. Then once you select that, then you can click on next. So these things and all, it will be option, so we can provide more detail on it. So here we'll see that the disk details. Okay. As I explained the previous tab, so we will get OS disk. OS disk means it's along with that operating system, we'll get 127 GB, and the disk type will be that premium SSD. Um, and then this will be deleted when that VM got deleted, and key management. So all the data will be stored in that in that disk. It will be encrypted. So all the encryption, decryption, key management, everything will be taken care by the platform. Means it's Azure itself. We are not going to interfere any of the operations for encryption and decryption. Okay. And I think this is what, if you want to attach any new disk storage, then you can create and attach the disk. So you can create it, then disk is on source type. So source type in the sense how you are going to create the disk. It's simply you're trying to create an empty disk where you will, and then later on you can plan it for data storage. Or if you want to create the blob storage, or if you want to or if you want to create snaps, if you want to create snapshot of existing disk. So if you let, for example, if you have the data in the existing disk, then you can create the snapshot and you can attach it into this VM, so that from this VM itself we can access it. So those things, those options and all, it will be there. We can select it and we can use it. Okay. So one, then enable share disk means if you give yes, then um, Mm, so here you can and if you enable, if we will enable this option, then we can share this disk with multiple VM. Okay, so the two VM can share this one, means then we can select there, and at the same time we can use this option when so since the two VM we are sharing, we don't this option we cannot enable it. Why? Because this option will be mainly for when you are deleting, when you're deleting VM, this disk also will be cleaned up. So that is the reason. If you select no, then this option will be enabled. If you are single VM, then when you are deleting the VM, then this disk space also will be deleted. Okay, so so once you create the disk, then you can map it. So in my case, that extra disk may not required. So just I am going with that OS disk storage. Then okay, then next step will be networking. So like virtual machine, here there is a concept of virtual network. So virtual network is nothing but we will create our own virtual network, so that it will not interact with other resources or other network. Okay, it's kind of will create a separate network for our application hosting, for our resource group. So that is what we will get. VNet. VNet, it's nothing but virtual network. It's a kind of logical networking concept. Okay, so once we can create it, and mm, then we can define the network security group. We'll create the security group for this, for which port this already we defined anyway. So we can for this network group, so what are the port will be accessed from outside, all those things we can define it here. Then so here I'm selecting that HTTP 8080 HTTP 80 port I'm selecting, and then the second option will be the load balancing. So here we can select the balancing options. Load balancing means if you create multiple VMs, then we can share the load request, whatever request is coming, we can share across multiple VMs. So here, since we are creating one single VM, so there is a load balancing concept will not come. But here we have multiple options: Azure load balancer and application gateway load balancer. Azure load balancer is nothing but it's kind of it's a network layer. It will share the traffic. Okay, the application gateway, in the sense, it will HTTP request. It will share their load based on the request URL type based on, like, like if you are requesting some image download, then it will be route through some of the VM. If you are requesting for some HTTP REST API something, then it will be redirected. So those things we can configure it. It's application level, HTTP protocol level. We can configure it. Okay. The next will be management. Management, it's optional things, so we can skip it. The monitoring alert. So let's say if you want to cross your resource, or some load, extra load is coming, or mm, some action is happening in our system, or some unwanted things is happening, some extra process is running, then we can enable the alert message. So it will be sent to it will be communicated to the registered email or SMS or whatever notification type you are selecting. Based on that, it will be.